There are so many influencers and YouTubers who just don't get the idea of the dumb phone.
You should just be disciplined.
Just buy an old Nokia.
So we're not here to judge you. We experienced the Lightphone 3, the Mudita Kompakts, and many dumb-ified smartphones for ourselves. So we'll talk about who these phones are actually for and if they helped us meet our goals.
Namaste, we're DHRME, dudes happily reviewing modern electronics.
First off, it's unfair to say that people should just be disciplined. It really depends. Like if someone has an addiction or any other issue and they seek help, you're not going to say, just be more disciplined.
Yeah, and you would find the right solution to their problem that works for them because everyone is different. And so in the case of dumb phones, the limitations are actually the feature you're buying. All right, so what were the goals of the problems we set out to achieve or solve? So 1, reduce the constant need for dopamine hits from apps. 2, fix the attention span and ability to focus. And 3, reduce screen time and have time for other things in life.
And all this within the boundaries of be realistic. We are living in 2025. We have digital needs.
Let's start with the Lightphone 3 and the Mudita Kompakt, because those are the real dumb phones. And we'll talk about sideloading apps onto these phones in a bit, but this is what you get straight out of the box. The Lightphone 3 stands out for a couple of things. The design and build quality. Wow, you pick up this thing and you look at the industrial design that went into it.
Yeah.
The materials, the feel in the hand, the metal, the glass, the speaker grill at the bottom, the wheel on the side to adjust the brightness and turn on the flashlight. You pick up this thing, you know it's a premium device. At least that's how it feels like, for sure. The interface also is very minimal. So a lot of launchers kind of copy this same interface.
Yeah.
Just black and just the pixels are lit up what you need, and that is it. And a quick thing about what you get in the box with the Lightphone 3 is this nice metal case or box that it comes in. And you can use it for a bunch of other things to, store things. It's a well-made box made in Japan, so it should be good.
It's a box.
It's a box. And it's got all of your basic apps, which Light calls tools. So that's an interesting way of looking at the things that run on your phone. You got all the basics like phone, SMS, timer, alarms, all of that. But beyond that, you've also got a calendar app, which can sync two-way for people who use Google and iCloud. If you don't use either of those, you can import your calendar events, but that is it. There's no sync. And I've recently moved away from Google and onto Proton, so this wouldn't actually work for me. Then there's also directions. So you can navigate to, using public transport, walking, or by driving. And it works well. It does run on Here Maps. And like in our interview with Joe, he mentioned that they actually pay Here Maps for every direction that you actually use on the phone. And there's also a directory app, which is very similar to how you would search up businesses on Google Maps. And then you can see information about it, like opening times, and you can navigate to that place of business or call them up and things like that. Also a podcast app, but it's not as easy as just searching up a podcast and then hitting play. So you actually need to use something else for it, which we'll get into in a little bit. And there's also a front-facing camera and a rear camera, but it has a very old-school vintage feel to it. We'll put up a couple of samples for you guys to see how it looks. What's also a bit vintagey is the way the camera shutter button actually works on this Lightphone 3. It has a 2-stage process. So the first stage is to kind of focus, and then the second, when you press it in deeper, it takes the shot. So that was a little bit on the Lightphone 3 and what it brings to the table. Speaking of the table,
let's go outward from the center. So the center was the Lightphone 3. We have the 2 Mudita Kompakts, and you know what? This is a very nice phone to hold. That was the first thing I thought of when I picked it up. It's got these nice rounded edges. There's no sharp corners, unlike the Lightphone.
Yep.
The width is just right in the hand. I can easily use it one-handed, but it's not just easy on the hand. It's also easy on the eyes because, hello, e-ink.
Yeah.
So a nice e-ink display. We'll talk about how that affects everything. But the main thing it affects is battery life. Mm-hmm. You get like a solid 3-4 days of battery life on what I would consider even like a smartphone. Like, it's not a dumb phone, and we come to that again. And it's got these 3 capacitive buttons at the bottom for going back, going home, and not a notification shade because there are no real notifications, but pulling down the control center. It has a fingerprint scanner on the side, which is very nicely placed, and it works really well. I registered 2 fingerprints and
I was also surprised.
Almost no fails ever. Really nice. And an interesting design concept in keeping with the philosophy is what you would normally have on an older iPhones is a physical switch to go from silent to, ringer. This goes from online to offline.
Yeah.
So essentially it is turning off and your radios, all your Bluetooth radios, Wi-Fi, your cellular.
Yeah.
And it's also turning off your cameras and your mics physically.
Yeah.
So even if there are apps that want to access that, they cannot. So that's a nice thing.
True offline mode.
Yeah. Rounding off the hardware, you get a headphone jack on top.
Yeah.
Nice to see. Wireless charging.
I did not expect that.
No. And expandable storage. On board, you get quite less, 32 gigs. So something you have to contend with in daily life, but you can expand it with an SD card. So that's good. Meditation cards. These.
Yeah. You wanna do one real quick?
No.
So togetherness. Here and
kidding?
now, let's gently lay down the digital threads.
I mean, all jokes aside, meditation is good for you guys. So,
Yeah.
that's not throwing any shade on meditation, but it's that kind of vibe that this phone brings.
Yeah.
It's got this kind of lotus flower logo and stuff like that. And you get a soft pouch, so you put a phone in your pouch. So
Yeah.
very old school. It's like from a different time or place, it feels like. Rounding off the hardware, 3 colors. You get black, like the one you have here. You get gray and white, like the one you have here. Okay, this is gray, but I'm
Pebble gray.
Pebble gray. I'm guessing white is not going to be too dissimilar.
No.
And the cameras, yes, this also has a single camera at the back. No selfie camera.
No.
And the camera cannot do video.
That's right.
Only photos.
Price-wise, let's get a couple of things out of the way because these dumb phones are not cheap. So the Mudita Kompakt retails for $440 and the Lite Phone 3 is bumped up $100 to $699 from its pre-order price, and it may go up another $100. So it's no surprise that people are really, focused and complaining about the price. So yeah, there's that. But both the phones do have some things in common. First of all, you need to have a desktop or a laptop to be able to set up these phones because the Mudita Kompakt actually has a desktop application and the Lite Phone has this web app. And so you need that to be able to set it up, but also to upload things like music onto the phones. Because like I said, there's no streaming. And so you need to download your music and then upload it using a Type-C cable. And the other reason why you would connect these phones physically to a computer is also to offload all the photos that you've taken with these phones because also there is no other way to get them off of it. And another thing is that these phones are running on top of Android. You don't have access to a Play Store, so you can't install apps. And so you're kind of stuck to the ones that they give you. But there's a but here.
There's a but. Sideloading. So essentially because they are based on Android can run apps. So you can access the Android layer to install apps onto it.
Yeah.
Let's start with what I did with the Mudita Kompakt. What we both did is out of the box, Mudita tells you how to do a sideload. So there's a page with like 4 steps and it tells you how you can sideload apps onto the Mudita Kompakt. Really nice. What you can do is you can download different APKs and install them, or you can just install one APK, which is another store.
Oh, yeah, an alternate
like
store.
an Aurora or F-Droid.
Yeah.
And then from there you can start installing apps. And that's what I did and we did. I did Aurora. From there I could go to WhatsApp and all the things I needed, communication, signal, those kind of things. And
what's interesting is Mudita actually says they don't, you don't void your warranty by sideloading.
That's an important
only if you root your phone.
All right.
So they still stand behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice. They're still standing behind your phone. Whereas Lite, on the other hand, is a completely opposite philosophy. They do not want you to sideload apps. So they don't even let people sideload apps. And when they do find a workaround, they patched one of those workarounds. So they're like very much like, this is the device we're giving you. We want to control the full experience. And if you're going to sideload apps, then you can go down that rabbit hole if you want to. People have done it.
And there are ways. But
But
two different philosophies here.
Yeah.
Something to be said about both. You buy a phone, you own it, you can do what you want with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole another debate. So
like just coming back to how it worked on the Mudita Kompakt, most of the apps worked and they worked quite well. Like for me, communication is essential on a smartphone. So I could do all my communication, calling, messaging, everything. Some apps did not. banking apps, and some banking apps, for example, did not work on the Mudita Kompakt.
Correct.
And the light phone, we did not really try sideloading anything, did we?
No, we did not. And no surprise that the Mudita Kompakt, some apps would work and not because, authentication and security, some apps are validating those kinds of things. So, that is a risk that you have with sideloading.
All right, we talked about the products.
Yeah.
How did this experience affect you?
Well, the first Dumbphone that I went with was the Light Phone 3 because that one came in first, and then the Mudita Kompakt. And so what already, right and straight from the Light Phone 3, the experience has taught me that it did make me more intentional with what I needed my phone for. But then again, there were certain things that I needed my phone to do. Yeah. Some things like banking apps, right? I can't be at a till with no balance on my card, right? If I needed that, I needed to transfer money, so I needed that. Another one is two-factor authentication apps. Let's be honest, it's an universally understood fact that SMS is the worst form of two-factor authentication. So that is not a risk I'm willing to take with my digital security. Yeah. So that is an app I need. Another thing is a browser to look up information. It's kind of the world we're in. We need information to do our work as well. And so that's not possible. Can't charge my phone, my car. Oh, wow. I need it to be able to set up a charging schedule. Yeah. So those sort of things. Music streaming, not possible. Like I said, you need to download music and then put it on there. I mean, I pay for a music streaming service. I want to be able to use that. And I think we share that sentiment is we have a lot of friends and family living abroad. And we need an international messaging application. SMS just doesn't cut it for us. And so we need Signal or WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's a bit too extreme, the light phone, and you really have to invest and change your philosophy. As the Mudita kind of adapts to your life a little bit more. Yeah. We were able to, as we said, get almost everything working on the Mudita Kompakt. Worked pretty well. With also the advantage or the limitation of it doesn't work that well. Yeah. So browsing.
Just enough, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Browsing or messaging on a small phone with a slow refresh rate, e-ink display, not fun. So you can keep it to a minimum. I can still access things like Instagram. For example, somebody sends me a DM. I can still download the app. I'm not going to be scrolling on Instagram because
it's not going to look nice.
It looks awful. Twitter or whatever. Yeah. So it just adds enough friction that you aren't going to get lost in it.
So all of that is great. And I survived a week on each of these dumb phones.
I used the Mudita Kompakt and two dumb-ified smartphones. And where did the experiment end, Kevin?
Yeah. So for me, it ended with me going back to my smartphone. But let me explain, because it was a very different smartphone compared to what I had before all of these experiments. And so my iPhone looks like this. It has this boring launcher. It's 95% of the time in grayscale mode. Very unappealing. There are no social media apps. Threw them all off. And it's permanently in reduce interruptions focus mode, which is an iOS focus mode. Works great. All my calls come through. None of the notifications, except the ones that I want. So for example, my doorbell or,
messaging.
Messaging. If I really want that, I don't have it. No. So even that doesn't come through.
Wow.
Yeah. So really, absolutely the essentials that I need to be notified about immediately. Yeah. And although the Light Phone 3, like I said, is a beautiful device that I actually wanted to use more despite it being designed to be used less, I didn't have the apps or tools that I needed. And for some reason, my carrier didn't work with the Light Phone 3.
That was weird.
That was super weird, yeah. And this was an issue that others with the same carrier had in combination with the Light Phone 3. And what was this issue? The issue is that I just couldn't see who was calling me, nor could I see any of the missed calls. So not a great experience and something neither Light nor my carrier could fix. So yeah, it's just not a phone I can use. Then you might be wondering, why not the Mudita Kompakt? I had all the apps that I needed through Sideloading, right? I did, and it could easily be the phone that I had on me. But the e-ink display and the slower refresh rate meant it was just a real pain to message friends and family comfortably. There was also no voice to text like on the Light Phone 3. And let's be honest, I don't think this guy here would run this channel with me if I couldn't properly watch videos or look at photos he sent me. And that e-ink display just doesn't make that an easy thing to do.
Absolutely not. And for me, it kind of ended with two dumb-ified smartphones as well. Now, a little bit of story time. I started on the Android, I have the S25 Ultra here. I started with Zen screen. I think that really changed the game for me. For example, the other day, I don't know, this is a weak moment. I opened up TikTok.
Oh no!
And I was just scrolling, and what would normally happen is like 45 minutes later, I'd be like transported to the future. Oh, it's 45 minutes later, you know. But what happened with Zen screen is like after 5 minutes, it gave me a pop-up.
Nice.
And that pop-up has a timer. So it's like 5. Are you sure you want to continue? 4. Are you sure? So you can't just, no, I want to go.
Just keep scrolling.
So for me, that works. But I can imagine for other people, it doesn't. So it gave me that, it brought me out of that trance.
Yeah.
And then I said, fine, okay, you know what? I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. I'd rather just sit and do nothing than do this. So it really helped me in that sense. Zen screen, highly recommend. Free app, Android. I also used O-Launch in the beginning, similar to the light phone launcher, just the text. But I was having some bugs with it, and I wanted to add more apps. It wouldn't let me add more apps. So I actually went back to Nova Launcher, which is a launcher I've purchased in the past. Really nice. And I made it a little less appealing using a white icons pack.
That's why your home screen also looks boring.
It looks boring, but I can put all the apps I want now.
Okay.
And I do need more than 7 or 8 apps, whatever O-Launcher was offering at a time. And on iPhone, I went with dumb-ified and screen time to just kind of give me those reminders about. Yeah.
So, and if you guys want to know how we've set up our phones, to live this minimal but still smartphone life, then let us know. We can always make a video about that in the future.
But I've not given up on the Compact, unlike you. I'm still kind of flirting with it at home. Because for me, the risk of drowning, like in doom scrolling, is usually much higher at home.
Yeah.
When I'm on a couch or when I'm just like, I have nothing to do. So in those situations, the Compact lets me do the stuff I need, which is generally communication and things like that, but doesn't let me get distracted with the things I don't. So that's kind of a nice balance.
So if these dumb phones aren't for us, I mean, you are still flirting a little bit with the Mudita Kompakt. Who are they actually for? So the Light Phone 3, being as expensive as it is, isn't for everyone. If you value design and aesthetics and your lifestyle doesn't need a ton of apps or tools, but just the one that Light has included, then you'll be fine. It's a solid device, and from our interview with Joe, they have more plans for it.
Yeah, and the Mudita Kompakt, I think, is for those who still want to live in 2025 or whichever year you're watching this video in, but not in the 2025 where big tech wants to suck out every last minute of our attention. And if you don't want to bother with charging the device too often, also this is a good pick actually. You'll appreciate the e-ink display for things like ebooks. It's easier to read. Even in bright sunlight, it works well. But you need to be okay with the compromise of that worse camera, laggier touchscreen, overall design, and some apps not always working as they should.
Yeah. Well, the results was that I've seen a considerable drop in usage of my iPhone after making the changes to my iPhone, like I said, to dumbify it. It's a lot less enticing, but at the same time, I have the apps on them when I need them.
Yeah. And I've definitely saved like 20, 30 hours in the last couple of weeks alone from apps that were specifically designed for the opposite, like I mentioned, scrolling on TikTok. So we'll go back to the questions at the beginning and our goals and problems we were trying to solve.
Yeah. So what were the goals or the problems we wanted to solve? Number one was reduce the constant need for dopamine hits from apps. Did it work? Check? Yeah.
Check. I think mainly check, yeah.
I think the only one that I'm scrolling is probably YouTube Studio, looking at all of your comments. And the other one is email. I tend to open email more often all of a sudden because I have nothing else. So, but yeah, all of those social media apps gone, did the trick. Number two, fix attention span and the ability to focus.
I think that's a longer term project.
Yeah. That's not just solved by throwing certain apps off of your phone. Number three, reduce screen time and have time for other things. For me, here's a screenshot of one of the weeks where I was using one of these dumb phones, and my iPhone was there for backup, but it dropped to 50% usage.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's reduced screen time, to be honest.
No?
But...
Okay. Yeah. Did you have time for other things? Did you pick up any new hobbies? Like fishing? Meditation?
I've been working on the channel.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Had some upside.
No, I would say I did, actually. Yeah. I think I spend more time doing things which I think are productive, with respect to what anybody else thinks. It's like working on the channel, work, stuff at home, or whatever it is. I think, yeah.
And yeah, for me, I think I tend to go to the laptop for more screen time inducing or screen time friendly things like watching videos and things like that. I tend to do it less on the phone now.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. So Could we have done a better job at achieving these goals with the actual dumb phones? Yes, but the sacrifice is just too big for the life we want to live. So actually, it would be counterproductive for us to be on this full time.
Yeah.
But we're happy to find a compromise with dumbifying our smartphones.
Yeah. And thanks for watching this video. So light phone we did pay for with our own money. Mudita did send out the compacts to us, but this is not a sponsored video. This video and content like this is made possible thanks to you guys who watch till this part of the video, but also like, subscribe, and our beautiful tested tier subscribers and members here, as well as
our highest tier members and patrons who are on the Fuckman tier. A big thanks to Rads Panda, Rachel, Paula, and Jay. You guys are awesome.
You've not been feeling dumb about your smartphone?
And we've been DHRME.
Dui.
Dui.